It was very unique. We had the one coach in the NFL with an incredible resume that gets the most heat because he can't win the big one against the one quarterback in the league that's a Hall of Famer. He will be. He should be, with a great resume, but many people will deny him that because he can't win the big one. It was a classic matchup of Andy Reid, to me a Hall of Fame coach, and Phillip Rivers, a Hall of Fame player. Let me ask you something. Andy Reid, a Super Bowl appearance, 5 NFC championship appearances, resurrected Kansas City, top NFL play designer. And by the way, his disciples, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, and Matt Nagy will win Coach of the Year. You don't think he can coach? Are you better at your job than him? You don't think he can coach? You're dumb, and I can't help you. Did you watch Phillip Rivers play last night? You don't think he's great? Pre-snap, 4th down, 2-point conversion, under pressure, got helmet-to-helmet hit late in the game, would knock most of us into Mars. He got up, argued with the ref, came back and played his best football. And you don't think he can? You don't think he's great, folks? Andy Reid's a better coach than Brian Billick and Mike Ditka and Barry Switzer and Gary Kubiak and John Gruden and Doug Peterson. And they all have Super Bowls. And Phillip Rivers is better than Eli Manning and Nick Foles and Brad Johnson, and even our friend Trent Dilfer would admit he is. And they have Super Bowls. You can't do it on an island in life. You can be the best car salesman in the world, but if you have crappy cars, I'm an average car salesman, I'll beat you if I'm selling the BMW. You get how the game works, right? Like in Hollywood, they celebrate nominations. Like nobody needed Leonardo DiCaprio to win an Oscar to go, God, that guy's good. In fact, Revenant's not even my favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movie. I like Wolf of Wall Street. They got a lot of them I like. But in sports, if you don't win the game, you're no good. If Andy Reid and Phillip Rivers were attorneys, were doctors, were teachers, were actors, were landscapers, were anything else, you'd be like, God, they're great employees. They win 70% of their cases in the courtroom. Well, they didn't win the OJ trial, so they're no good. That's not really how we look at law and education and everything. But sports is different. I get it. But this argument that Andy Reid and Phillip Rivers aren't great, they're not even great. They're fantastic. But because of circumstances, it just so happens that, Andy Reid, when he had the Eagles, there were a lot better quarterbacks he was facing, like Brett Favre. And it should be noted that in the AFC, Tom Brady is still there, and Big Ben and Andrew Luck, and now we got Deshaun Watson's really good, and Phillip Rivers and a bunch of great coaches, and this is called life. Just because you're the second best realtor in Los Angeles doesn't mean you're not a world-class realtor. Just because you're the third biggest real estate developer in Dallas doesn't mean you're not a world-class real estate developer. We were watching 2 all-time greats last night, whether people realize it or not. Andy Reid and Phillip Rivers. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
In the words of Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last, Colin.
That's why that was just pretend in a movie.
Oh, no, I think it's words to live by. So the Chiefs had a 28-14 lead over the Chargers in the fourth quarter, but allowed them to climb back in the game with 2 late touchdowns, then lost after a successful 2-point conversion attempt with 4 seconds to play. In the end, Chiefs head coach Andy Reid cited the team's penalties, 10 for 66 yards, as a reason for the loss.
Listen, we shot ourselves in the foot here. So with the penalties, you can't do that in a game like this. It ended up haunting us in that fourth quarter. In the National Football League, you got to be a bit resilient. That's what you do. You learn from your mistakes. That's real. And then you get yourself, become a better team.
Let me just say this. It was not a well-officiated game. In the first half, the Chiefs got hosed on several calls, and in the second half late, the Chargers got hosed on 2 awful calls. So in the end, it all worked out the same. I don't get too worked up on officiating. It was not good last night, but in the end, it still came down to one team made a play on a 2-point conversion and one team whiffed on the coverage. That's what it came to. The game came down to that play.
I actually think it came down to before that. Patrick Mahomes has to get a first down and drive the ball down and keep the ball out of Phillip Rivers' hands.
That would help.
I mean, it's not. I'm not putting that game on Patrick Mahomes. Actually, I think he was great, and in the end, like you said,
Phillip Rivers was great too.
What kind of coverage is that?
Yeah,
I don't even know if Phillip Rivers was great too. I think that you have to play defense. Patrick Mahomes doesn't play that side of the ball.
Yeah,
you kind of got to cover someone in that spot. It's a 2-point conversion, but really, the officiating got to a point where I felt like every play had a flag on it.
Yeah, there were like 17.
Can they play?
Yeah, it was not great. And by the way, we've seen this in some big games. I think Dean Blandino was sorely missed. We hired him. They need to hire him back, and I love Dean, but they're missing his leadership. It's like anything else in the world. We find this all the time in sports at every level, high school, college, and pro. Leadership is worth what you pay it. You can complain about Nick Saban's $11 million a year. They're not the same program without him. Leadership is worth paying for. So all you bosses out there, I mean, people who complain about bosses, the NFL lost Dean Blandino, and they're not the same sport. Like the officiating's not as good.
It's a lot. It's hard to watch, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like I don't care about this penalty. It's too much. But I do think the Chiefs has to be better in situational ball. Like that's not acceptable. They would have clinched the AFC West and had a first round bye with that win, and now they put themselves in a bad situation. They're still the 1 seed, even though they have the same record as the Chargers because they own the tiebreaker. But they've got Seattle and Oakland coming up. So last night the Lakers lost to the Rockets 126-111. James Harden had 19 free throw attempts, double what he averages for the season. And Lonzo spoke after the game, speaking of officiating.
He's a great player, and it's very hard to guard him. You know, you can't touch him. So the biggest thing is not to foul him and not to let him get easy threes. But he got hot towards the end. I'm gonna say it's tough. You know, he shot multiple free throws today, so you just can't touch him.
A couple possessions where I think you were defending with your hands behind your back. Were you trying to kind of make it a point to the officials to
trying not to foul? They was calling it tight today, so I was trying to get my hands out of there.
So LeBron and Lonzo were guarding the Rockets with their hands behind their backs.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was bad officiating. And, for the record, it's in Houston. The crowd gets going. Harden's hot, and the officials get swayed. And, the officials in basketball, the fans are right on the floor. You see it in college and pro, where a guy gets hot, and the officials kind of get into the momentum of the player. And Harden was it was a joke. Like, it was, by the way, it was worse officiating in that game than the football game, but nobody was watching this one.
Right. Well, Luke Walton and Kyle Kuzma both got called for text for arguing with the refs, but this is a league-wide thing. This isn't just in Houston. Like, they get a ridiculous amount of calls. Now, if you look at the numbers, the Lakers actually got more fouls.
But Harden gets treated.
Harden. It's ridiculous the way that Harden gets treated. They are right. Like, it's impossiating to guard him.
Yeah,
everything gets called.
He has a step-back move that a lot of people in the NBA, I mean, coaches, executives in the NBA have said, you're not officiating that play correctly. He's traveling. He's fouling. So there's always been an NBA player. Karl Malone had a couple of moves where he'd throw his body at you and he weighed 270, and he would initiate contact, and Karl Malone lived at the free throw line. There's always an NBA player who has an odd style, and the officials get it's such an overpowering style, they just allow it. Michael Jordan, by the way, traveled, magic palmed the ball his whole career. Michael traveled constantly, but the officials sort of like, you're the artist. It's a created, established move.
I don't think that they should overcall it, but I think this is a league-wide complaint with James Harden and the Rockets. So, it's obviously something you need to look into. Yeah. Finally, Tom Brady is 41, and the Patriots are the 2 seed in the AFC. He was the MVP last year at 40 years old. Yeah. And Drew Bledsoe gave his thoughts on why Tom Brady just can't quit football. He said he's not playing because he needs to prove anything. He's playing because he wants to play.
Until my teeth fall out. I'll do this. I will be on the air at 84, and I'll be like, listen, congratulations to Zion Williamson. He just won a 32nd NBA championship. Coming up, a spot by Legal Zoom.
I really hate when those whippersnappers wear their hats backwards.
And my teeth will fall out. Like, if you do something, you're paid for it, and you love it, They'll have to get a crane and pull me out of here.
He's not 84. He won the MVP last season. It's been going on for I think a solid 5 years now, and it's enough already. And then when he's retired, you're all going to be talking about how much you wish he was back.
Yeah.
Just let him play.
I will be doing this show so long, at some point, my lead story will not be the NFL. It will be esports. And I'll be like, let's talk about Jackson against Bobby, who played in their mother's basement, Atari. And that'll be my lead story.
Esports is very
It's
lucrative.
growing. It's very popular. All right, Joey with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Let's bring him on. Oh, he is a former Ram. It must have bothered him last night to see the new team in town, the Chargers, the best team in Los Angeles. Come on, admit it. It stings a little. The Rams were the second best team this morning in Los Angeles.
How do you sound, Colin? You sound ridiculous. Come on, man. The Chargers are a good football team, but
Good.
they don't have any fans, and they are a really good football team. And you know what? They should really consider. I mean, I just have to say, Anthony Lynn should be possibly right now Coach of the Year.
They're playing in a soccer stadium. They have lost They didn't have Joey Bosa till week 11.
That's what I'm saying. He's playing with a lot of backups, guys. I mean, Melvin Gordon has been out. I mean,
his backup was out.
His back was Eckler.
Yeah, he was out.
He was out. So I mean, they haven't had a team like their whole football team together pretty much the whole season. Bosa just came back a couple of weeks ago. I'm sure he's playing great, but he's not playing. I don't think he's playing 100%. But I mean, they're doing a great job over there. I just have to give the Chargers credit. And I said that they would win that game last night. I mean, I had not an argument, but a discussion with Willie McGinnis. We were over there. We were shooting a show last night, SWAT.
Yeah.
I was trying to be an actor last night, and he said, "Man, nah, they gonna win." He said, "What's the score?" I said, 14. He said, "How they gonna?" I said, "I'm gonna tell you, the Chargers can score points and they play great defense."
No, the best defense last night. The Chargers don't blitz. They don't have to.
They don't have to.
They literally are I think they have the second lowest blitz rate in the league. They just line 4 dudes up who nobody's heard of outside of, Bosa, and they can all play.
Ingram, I mean, them guys, they get to you big time.
You admit this, though. They have more depth of talent than the Rams. Rams have Aaron Donald and Todd Gurley.
Right.
But in terms of the Chargers have no holes.
No, they're
none.
Only thing the Chargers have is injuries right now.
Yeah.
But when they get healthy, I mean, you hear me say this. I think you stole my line too. They're getting hot at the right time. I mean, and it's all about what time you start. And they're hot right now, and they don't even have all their guns back. So imagine when everyone gets healthy. Oh my God, this team.
They're going to bring back Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, and by the way, Hunter Henry, their tight end.
Their tight end, right.
Who's a stud who got hurt in camp. So they have 3 elite players that didn't play at the end of last night's game. They'll all be coming back. By the way, are you one of these guys that's going to tell me the Steelers-Patriots is a rivalry? I mean,
when it's a rivalry, the other team has to win. And then how rivalries work. You win, we win. You win, not we win, we win, we win.
Brady's
we win,
11. This is essentially the Steelers against the Bengals.
Yeah, this is no rivalry. I mean, I think it's a big game because it's Ben Roethlisberger and Tom Brady. I mean, that's what makes it the big game. But other than that, it's not a rivalry. And I grew up a Steeler fan because why? Because they used to beat the Cowboys. I hated the Cowboys. But I hate to say this is no rivalry. I mean, this is lopsided. I mean, and right now the Steelers aren't playing really good football. I mean, the Patriots, they got beat last week on a fluke play. I mean,
but they're running the football.
Yes,
they're doing what they generally do: bend, not break. Good situationally. They had a bad weekend. The Steelers have had a bad month.
You got it, yeah. But where are they at? Then Pittsburgh or then New England?
It's Pittsburgh. No, it's Pittsburgh. It doesn't mean anything. The line.
Are they going to be? I hate to say it. I'm going to go with and I hate to say this. God, bite your tongue. I'm going to have to go with the Patriots on that one.
Yeah, I like New England too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A blazing 5 and 25 minutes away. I want to throw. I don't like this about sports. I love sports. Mm-hmm. Here's what I don't like about sports. It's one of the only things I don't like about sports. Where if you don't win the game, you're a bum. Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. Andy Reid's a better coach than Barry Switzer. Okay.
Pro coach. College. Barry
Well,
Switzer,
again, we're talking pro. Nick
pro.
Foles and Brad Johnson won Super Bowls. Phillip Rivers is significantly better than both.
No doubt.
Okay, so why are we always crushing Andy Reid? This morning, all I read is Andy Reid's a bum.
You know, and I disagree with that. Andy Reid's a great coach. I think because he hasn't won the big one. You know, when I think of the Kansas City Chiefs, and I told this to my friend Christian Okoye when the Rams played them, I said, y'all are like this. You know, all of a sudden it goes, Houston, we're breaking up. We have a problem. They start falling apart.
You never trusted them?
No, never trust them. At the end of the season, you know, if they can play 9 games or 7 games, they're good. But they can't
even
play
in your time.
Yeah, you cannot trust them. And I don't know if it's Andy Reid or, you know, it's just some teams are like that.
Cincinnati.
Exactly.
Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers. I mean, the Chargers.
Houston Texans. There are teams in sports. I've said this, Eric. There are cultures in sports. The Yankees have always been, they're better in the big games.
Yeah.
This is the way, I would say New England is, Tom Brady's had bad games. He's never had a bad Super Bowl.
Neither is Joe Montana. Never threw an interception.
Russell Wilson has often been better in primetime games than a game that's not. Kirk Cousins is good in everything but primetime games. So I think the criticism here is a reasonable one. There are teams, for years and years, the Red Sox couldn't get over the hump. Then they got Manny, Kurt Schilling. They won, huge personalities. They got over it. Now we think of them as clutch. For 75 years, we thought they were the opposite of clutch. Now, there's also a game this weekend. I want to talk about this. Saquon Barkley's a rookie running back. Mm-hmm. He is really good. There is a chance, Eric, that he is going to break your record for scrimmage yards. So I imagine you're very happy. You're rooting for him to break your record.
It's a chance Santa Claus might drop in here, too. And it's a chance that might happen, but I doubt it. Man, no, I don't want to. Are you kidding me, Colin? Look, no, I don't want my record. Anyone who has a record, and let me tell you, they don't want their record broke. All these guys out there, oh, yeah, I don't mind my record. Liar, because you talk, man, I don't want that record broke. No. Have a great year, but don't break my record. Well, he's not going to break the one that really counts. That's the 1,800 yards. The yards from scrimmage, that's cool. I mean, I'll say this much here. Fantastic player. I think he's a great player. Yeah. And you've heard me say this before, never thought much of Penn State running backs. To me, the greatest Penn State running back was Kurt Warner back in my era.
Kajana Carter?
No, not. I hate to say it. I like Kajana, but no. And Franco Harris. Those are the two. Those are two I think of. After that, it was like, it's off the edge. And then this kid here, I hadn't seen him play much in college. I saw him play more in the pros. I'm like, I never heard him and say, you never saw him play? I said, no. Then I watched him play. Man, he's a fabulous player.
But you don't want him to break your record?
No, I don't. Why do I? Let me ask you a question. What am I going to get out of it? You know, when he breaks the record, then they be talking about him, they be talking about me. That's why I want to keep that record.
You know what? You're keeping it, as they say, 100.
I keep it real. And you know another real one I want to get to? What? I want to get my $400.
Joy.
Double or nothing on the Super Bowl.
Here we go, Joy. All right, double or nothing on the Super Bowl. Can I get some interest? Because it's been too long. I didn't
How about 425 now?
There we go. Yeah, that's fair.
How about 475?
All right. I'll just throw this out to you. Cowboys have locked up pretty much their division. Mm-hmm. Colts at home are fighting for their life. We know Andrew Luck's better than Dak Prescott. One of my favorite games of the year, I love the Colts in this spot this weekend. I have a feeling after major emotional wins, Dallas going to pull back big Sunday.
You know, I don't think they're going to pull back big. I think Frank Reich knows the Cowboys.
Good point.
He knows the Cowboys. You know, it's like he'll be playing the Eagles all over again. I mean, you think about this here. The Cowboys played the Eagles. They had 400 and something yards passing, 200 yards on the ground, and you got to go into overtime. That should be a crushing. I like the Colts in this football game.
This is a really good point by you, Eric.
Yeah.
Frank Reich, the Colts coach, has faced Dallas for years.
Right. So he knows them very well. And I really don't think that people give Andrew Luck a lot of credit sometimes, because you can understand, Andrew Luck has played behind some terrible offensive lines.
With no running game until this year.
With no running game. His coach before was a defensive-minded coach. Now he has an offensive-minded coach. And I like Andrew Luck. I mean, I think I said the Colts are going to win this too. I like this. I see it 24-21.
Great seeing you, Eric. I love your honesty that he does not want Saquon Barkley to break his record.
Have a great year, but don't break my record.
I think that's awesome.
Me too. All right, thanks.
I like that. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Blazing 5 in about 20 minutes. Coming up next, why last night's Laker loss was the best night for the Lakers in 5 years. I'll tell you why next. You want to make sure that nothing in this holiday season becomes between you and protecting your family. You can save hundreds of dollars using Simply Safe Home Security. Storm takes out your power, intruder cuts your phone line, it still works. Maybe it's overkill, but the holiday season, you're going to be doing some shopping, you'll be out of the house more than average. Be very careful. Simply Safe does not cost an arm and a leg. It could, it doesn't. $14.99 a month. There are no markups or contracts or hidden fee. There is no installation window. Really easy, up and running in just minutes. I recommend it to anybody I know, especially in the holidays.